Welcome, everyone. Can you hear me? You might want to boost that a little bit. I can't even hear anything. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Welcome again to another edition of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program Teacher Certification Course. If you're joining us here in Abilene, Texas, / Clyde, Texas, you can be seated. If you're joining us online, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are in the Building Moral Excellence unit. If you go to the top of the page, you can download the book, open the book, follow along with us. We're in the Building Moral Excellence unit of the Peaceful Solution. Would be the sixth one down there. We went through 5 in the intermediate series. We're in the 6th one. I'm pretty sure they still have the other books up there. And we're just getting started in the Building Moral Excellence unit. Chris kicked it off last class. I brought us through a little bit more of it. We started getting into the preface of the student workbook. Again, I'll remind you, if you have a teacher's edition, don't be alarmed that you don't see what I'm reading. It is in your student workbook. I don't think the student workbook's up online, but it will be put in the teacher's edition here soon. And it's on Roman numeral 15 is where we left. Let me just see. Could be wrong. Let me get my glasses on here. Okay, student manual. Yeah, Roman numeral 15 is where we left off, but I want to rehearse just a little bit of what we went over already. Remember, we talked about on page Roman numeral 14 in the teacher's manual, the student workbook, the issues to think about that were written about in 2003 by the author about the headlines showing 70 million cases of HIV. These were the things they were dealing with at that time period. And then I showed, 21 years later, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. It's only gotten worse. Okay, and I showed you updated articles that went right along with these, even showing North Korea threatening to destroy the world just a couple days ago. The battle against terrorism is going well, I guess. If you're a arms maker, it's probably going pretty well for you. Probably making a lot of money. But war is never. It might seem lucrative on the greenback side, but it's not. It's a failure on the other side of things. It's destroying people's lives. It's destroying property. It's not being moral. It's immoral behavior. We got to start learning to practice self-control and stop and think and weigh out our options. What are our options that aren't going to bring harm to somebody, and then proceed with whatever those options are that will bring and promote peace in that situation. Okay, now we also talked about, in the middle of page Roman numeral 14 in the student workbook, that the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program staff are hoping that you're not going to fall prey to the world of entertainment and all of its lusts or all of its desires and pulls, that seem to be enjoyable, and they are for a moment, when you do them. Seems like they're very enjoyable, but they have consequences. If they're done without proper when you don't do things according to the Peaceful Solution rules, you're always going to have what's called a consequence for that behavior. And remember, we talked about the STDs. We talked about the mental illness. We've talked about the divorce rate in families. We've talked about, all the different things, the wars, the fighting, the hatred that's taking place because people are not, number one, being trained in moral character. That's not even, the word moral, if you ask most people what it means, most people don't even know what it means. So it's not their fault. It's just that it's not something that's being promoted now. What's being promoted now is what Hollywood's promoting and what the music industry is promoting, which is immoral conduct. Now, and then the author says people his age only have themselves to blame for the condition of the environment. We talked a little bit about that and how because they push character education aside in their school curriculum and they opted for only reading, writing, arithmetic, biology, literature, arts and crafts, you know, they said they didn't have time for moral character to be taught. And I know this to be true because I've been working in the Peaceful Solution, actively promoting it since 2002, and that's the same excuse I've been given, is we don't have time for character education. We have to keep up with all the what they call it, tasks. Used to call it tasks, now they call it something else, but these testing requirements that the schools have, you know, students are always preparing for the next academic test, so they don't have any time to prepare for the real tests in life, like somebody pushing their buttons in the classroom, somebody bullying them, somebody doing something to jerk their string. They're not being prepared for those kind of tests. They're not being prepared for the tests where somebody offers them drugs or, you know, some kind of beer or alcohol. They're not being trained to prepare for these things, to resist these things. So therefore, they're just falling prey to everything that's coming down the pike. Now, he says, because we were not taught character education, we did whatever was pleasing in our own eyes, or whatever's right in our own eyes, whatever seemed to be okay. You know, as they said, if it feels good, do it, you know. Where everybody else is doing it, it must be okay. Well, everybody else is getting sick, and everybody else has mental health problems, and everybody else has some kind of consequences in their life as a result of doing what's pleasing, or what's, you know, what their lusts pull them to do. And that's what they're saying. That's what the Peaceful Solution is hoping we won't fall prey to, is this world of entertainment. You know, the entertainment industry, they're just promoting, all they're promoting is premarital relations. They're promoting adultery. They're promoting drug use. They're promoting, you know, they're teaching the young people pretty much, you know, rebellion against authority, to not even ask authority. You don't even need to ask your parents if you want to see that girl and talk to that girl. You don't even have to ask your dad if you can talk to that boy. You know, you can do whatever you want. You know, you're free 12 and 20, and you can do whatever you like. You're in a free country. Well, that's what they're promoting, but that's not, it's having its consequences, and we can see them all around us. And he said our mistakes, at the bottom of page Roman numeral 14, he said our mistakes are very evident and still in progress. And people are actually ridiculed for speaking out against these mistakes. They call them right wing, I guess. I don't know about you, but right wing, left wing, it's all the same bird, man. It's all going down. That bird is not going up. It's actually getting ready for a crash landing if they don't change course here very soon. It says people are actually ridiculed for speaking out against these mistakes. The following prayer, spoken at the opening of the Kansas legislature, reveals many of those mistakes. He put up my first visual. I'll give you a background while I'm reading this. There's the Kansas State Legislature, and there's the this legislative session opening up. They usually open up with some kind of prayer. And it's interesting, this is put in this book. It says, the prayer says, Heavenly Father, we come before you today to ask your forgiveness and to seek your direction and guidance. We know your word says, woe to those who call evil righteousness. But that's exactly what we've done. We have lost our spiritual equilibrium and inverted and that means we've turned it upside down. We've turned upside down our values. We confess that we have ridiculed the absolute truth of your word and called it pluralism. We have worshiped gods and called it multiculturalism. We have endorsed perversion and called it an alternative lifestyle. We have exploited the poor and called it the lottery. We have neglected the needy and called it self-preservation. We have rewarded laziness and called it welfare. We have killed our unborn and called it a choice. We have shot abortionists and called it justifiable. We have neglected to discipline our children and called it building self-esteem. We have abused power and called it political savvy. We have coveted our neighbor's possessions and called it ambition. We have polluted the airwaves with profanity and called it freedom of expression. We have ridiculed the time-honored value of our forefathers and called it enlightenment. Search us, Heavenly Father, and know our hearts today. Try us and see if there be some wicked way in us. Cleanse us from every sin and set us free. Guide and bless these men and women who have been sent here by the people of Kansas and who have been allowed by you to govern this great state. And grant them your wisdom to rule, and may their decisions direct us to the center of your will. So it's interesting, whoever gave that prayer, I don't know if he was ever invited back. Normally, I've been to a few of these sessions when they open, and it's usually somebody they invite in, some pastor or sometimes it's other political leaders, etc., and they invite them in to lead them in prayer, possibly a rabbi or somebody. And I don't know if he was invited back after that prayer there. That was, you pretty much called it the way it was, okay? And most people that speak truth like that usually aren't invited back. It says, you're about to participate in the only program that would have prevented the chaos in the world created by my generation simply because our parents neglected the most important teaching that young men and women should have: character education. And you can put up the next visual while I'm reading this next part here. It says, now this is a hard pill to swallow for some people, but you got to remember this is only a man. Adolf Hitler was a man, just like any other man. I can show you pictures of him with children, being playful with children. He had a family. He had grandchildren, and I mean he probably went home at night and had supper with his family, and I don't know what they talked about, but it was probably like most other families. They went, they talked about their life at home and et cetera, et cetera. But he was just a man. It says Adolf Hitler would not have killed 6 million Jews if he had received what you have the opportunity to learn in the PSCEP. Okay, so in other words, 6 million lives, probably I think it was more like 11 million from what I've read, total, would have been saved had one person's ideology been different, And because remember, it only takes, a revolution usually begins with one person. I think he wrote a book, Mein Kampf or My Struggle, I think he called it. And I think he wrote it in prison. And it became a very popular book, a rallying call for change in his country. And he started getting the ideas that some other people get here. They start seeing, we see a similar situation here in America today, where people that are American citizens see other people come into their country and they start advancing and getting jobs, and sometimes they end up being better off financially. And the people that are native to the land become jealous and angry and hateful and spiteful, and next thing you know, they're like, what are these people doing in our land? We need to kill these people, or we need to drive them out of here. Not remembering that America is really just a melting pot of all countries from all over the earth, Everybody's immigrants that came here at one time or another. All of us did. All of our ancestors did. Even the natives, even the Native Americans, fled from other continents and came here, to this beautiful land. It is a beautiful land. It's a great country. We're really blessed to be here. Okay, so it says, I cannot stress enough, the author says, how much power and strength you can gain from the lessons taught in this program. And knowledge is power. Remember, we've gone over that many times. Chris, Gatan, David, myself, we've all talked about how knowledge is power. It's power to be, it's not power like superpower in that, you can use it, like they do in the cartoons where you can throw the lightning bolt and kill your enemy, that kind of power. It's a power of knowledge to know what's right, what's wrong, how to avoid the traps that are all around us, because now you're aware of them. And then it gives you the strength, the knowledge of what you can do to actually start training your mind to resist going in the wrong direction and making the wrong choices. You actually have the power, the knowledge, what it takes, the self-control, the acceptance, the responsibility. Remember, those were whole books we went over. That's a lot of knowledge you've already packed into your mind already. How much of it do you recall consciously? Well, you recall quite a few things. You can recall them if you use them, Well, they say that, out of sight, out of mind, or you don't use it, you lose it, Today I was sitting there thinking, man, where was that quote, man? I remember it. I used to know that. I used to know exactly what page that was on. I could find it, and I didn't even have to look. I could tell you where it was. And I struggled for about an hour and a half trying to remember where it was. And finally, I picked up the book and I went through it and I found it. I was like, man, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. If you don't pick up that book enough and keep going through it and reminding yourself, these things can get lost. Not that you won't remember the quote, but you could possibly forget, where did I see it? Because I wanted to share with you where I found it. Now I can tell you right off the top of my head, it was on page 125 of the character unit. But I'm jumping ahead, so. Okay. So he says he can't stress how much power and strength you can gain. Okay. Knowledge is power. You will have the power to avoid sickness. Man, imagine that, right? You can power to avoid sickness. You don't have to go to the hospital. How much money could you save? How much time could you save? How much productivity will not be lost as a result of avoiding sickness? Not only that, you're going to protect your neighbor because you're not going to be sick. So you won't spread that to somebody else. Wow, man, isn't this great? Well, not for the doctors, right? A patient cured is a patient lost, right? And it's not great for the drug dealers. I know, I used to be a drug dealer, man, and if somebody stopped calling me for those drugs, I was calling them, man, like, hey, where you at? Haven't heard from you in a while. Right? Well, that's what occurs, when you start losing business. These doctors, these lawyers, everyone on TV, doctors, lawyers, they all start losing their jobs. Right? Because they make you think in Hollywood that you got to have a doctor, you've got to have a lawyer. It's all normal, right? You got to have a doctor, a psychiatrist. You've got to have all these people in your life, because that's normal routine, right? No, it's not. You only need lawyers because you're in some kind of hot water or somebody's suing you for something, or you only need doctors because you're sick. And he's telling you here, we can avoid sickness if we learn the peaceful solution. We can avoid disease, like the 125 sexually transmitted diseases I told you about in the last class. We can also avoid hatred. We won't get caught up in the left wing, right wing, libertarian. We won't get caught up in any of that. You won't be taking sides, right? Because we don't take sides in the peaceful solution. the side we're on is we're on the side of peace, and we're trying to get the other two sides that are going at each other to, we want to show them the way they can resolve their problems without any kind of bringing harm to themselves or somebody else. And you can avoid war, which is a big racket, you know. You will also have the power to build lasting friendships, relationships, and marriages, you know. How many relationships, how many friendships, and how many marriages have gone by the wayside in your life before you knew the peaceful solution? I told you before, I don't even have one, I can't name one person that I call from high school. Like, I don't write them, I don't email them, but I used to have lots of friends in high school. Yeah, when I was busting the window out when it was 2 in the morning, right? And the beer ran out, and all my friends were saying, hey, Will, why don't you bust into that liquor store and get us another keg of beer, man, so we can keep this party going? All right. You know, I was willing to do anything, you know, back then when I was drunk and high. And then I was the life of the party, man. I was a cool guy, man. I had all kinds of friends at school. I was really popular. But then when I went to jail, man, I never got one visit. Many of those friends, you know, I never got a visit. I never got a card, a letter, commissary money, or anything. You know, just all my friends scattered like cockroaches. But then I learned, you know, later on, peaceful solution, those weren't really my friends. I didn't even know what a friend was at that time. And I wasn't a friend either, so I can't blame them. I know parents like to say, you know, my children were doing just great until they started running with the wrong crowd. Have you ever noticed their children are never the wrong crowd? It's everyone else's children that's the wrong crowd, right? Everyone else's children were the wrong crowd, but theirs were not the wrong crowd. But I guarantee those parents are saying the same thing about your child. They're the wrong crowd, too. So it says, I urge you to set your mind on the most important goal you can set for yourself, and that is to pursue a future where peace exists among all people. No, and it's not the Coca-Cola commercial. I think me and Michael were talking about what was that? I want to buy the world a Coke and teach the world to sing or something, and everybody's singing Kumbaya, and they're drinking Coca-Cola, and they all have peace now, right? Or no. I'll show you a quote here in a minute about peace that I thought was really, really cool. It says, when you complete this program, you'll have all the tools you need to make a difference in the world to ensure there's a future for you and generations to come. You can put up that quote. I think I had a quote. Yeah, I found this quote to be quite interesting, and I would write it down if I was you, because it gives you a really great insight that whoever wrote this, they understand something about the peaceful solution. It says, if you desire greater peace in your life, before any interaction, make peace your goal for that interaction. Then use your thoughts, words, and actions as tools to achieve your goal. I'm going to read that one more time, man, because that's such a great quote. If you desire greater peace in your life, before any interaction, make peace your goal for that interaction. Then use your thoughts, words, and actions as tools to achieve your goal. In other words, use the peaceful solution in every interaction. Make every interaction, make the goal of every interaction to be a peaceful interaction. And then use the peaceful solution to make it peaceful. Because remember, you're not going to achieve peace by magic. You have to use the right words. You have to use the right facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, right? Isn't that what we learned in the self-control unit about communication? Isn't there more to communication than words? It's 7% is words. The rest was what? Facial expressions, tone of voice, body language. What was the other one? What's that? I can't hear you. That's it? What did you say? Hand gestures? Okay, yeah. Well, hand gestures would have something to do with communication. You're correct. That's great. The young people think like that. That's great. Yeah, because you don't want to use the wrong hand gestures, right? We learned about that, and actually, we took a class one time because we were having a peace conference where we were having a peaceful solution global conference on peace back in 2001. I believe it was 2001, and we had to go through an etiquette class because we had leaders from all over the world that were fixing to come here, and we had to learn, what not to do and what to do. And one of the very things is what that young man just said right there about hand gestures. Because if you, like say you do this, that's the equivalent of giving someone a finger, in America, to a Chinaman. Okay? So if somebody's from China, you don't want to be doing this. Even if you got something in your eye, you probably want to refrain from that. But there was lots of hand gestures and other things they taught us not to do for other cultures, right? Getting to know other cultures and making sure, we didn't offend anybody, even though it was perfectly fine here. I'm always quick to remind somebody when I burp, after dinner, they're like, oh man, that's so horrible. I'm like, yeah, but if I was in Europe, it'd be a compliment, right? The meal was really great. Right? But I'm not in Europe, so I got to refrain, so. Okay, but I still got to burp, man. Shoot. All right, so where are we at? Let's see. Can you put up the next visual so I can see where I'm at? All right. I want to put this thought in your mind before we go to the next. No, don't put that up yet. Flip over to page Roman numeral 16, XBI, in your student workbook, if you have one. If you have the teacher's manual, again, I'm almost done reading from this. This is not in your teacher's manual when I'm reading, but it is in the student workbook. But I'm almost done. It says, don't waste your time on frivolous things that won't last. Entertainment and fashion are constantly changing. Break out of the mold that society has cast and dare to be different. Dare to make changes not only for yourself, but for future generations as well. Don't allow anyone to hinder you from learning every facet of every lesson in this program. And that includes yourself. Don't let yourself do it either. Because it's really easy to say, yeah, it's hot today, I don't think I want to go to class, I want to go home and lay in the AC, drink me a cold glass of water, or something. No, come over here and have a cold glass of water, and, if you doze off a little bit because it's so hot, okay, well, at least you're here, But try not to doze off. Try to go splash your face with some cold water or something. That will be refreshing on a hot summer day. But don't allow anyone, including yourself, hinder you from getting here. And don't let them tell you, oh, that peaceful solution, man, they're just teaching the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, we are. Yeah, you know why? Because our thick cranium needs to be reminded over and over and over and over again. Remember? Rinse, wash, rinse, repeat. Rinse, wash, repeat. Rinse, wash, repeat. Repetition, 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 right? That's how you start. It starts getting through. When you start hearing it over and over, you start practicing it, right? But you're not going to hear the same thing in the high school unit that you heard in the junior high. You will hear some different things, trust me. It says, after you finish high school, there's an opportunity awaiting you to teach the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program in all countries of the world. Contact us for more information. And this class that you're sitting in right now is proof of that. This is called a certification class, where people are actually being certified to go out and teach the world. Okay, so if you're joining in and you're watching and you're studying with us, you have that same opportunity that everybody else has. Respectfully, Yisrael Hawkins, the author and promoter of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program. So that concludes the reading of the preface in the student workbook. If you have an opportunity and you didn't have the student workbook, I'd go ahead and grab one and read that. It's worth it. We will try to get it into, I did talk to Chris about it, we're going to try to get it into the teacher's manual shortly. Okay, so Chris already did the introduction, he did how to use the program, and he left off on the note to the student on page 1, and that's where we're going to pick up now. We do have this in the teacher manual, so go to page 1 while I take a sip of this. Okay. We're going to be looking at the note to the student, and I'm going to go ahead and put up the next visual for the audience at home. And I want to put this thought in your mind. This is the quote I was trying to find earlier that I told you about. I'm like, where was that thing? And sure enough, it was on page 125 of the character unit. That's why I forgot. It was so many books ago. But remember, it said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I want you to think about that while we're reading through this note to the student, this first part here. It says, you are about to embark on a journey that will take you from childhood to adulthood. What you talking about, Willis? Whoa, wait, I'm having a flashback. What you talking about, Willis? I'm an adult now. You calling me a child? You got to remember, we teach this book to people that are 70 and 80 years old. And we tell them the same thing. We tell them that you're about to embark on a journey that will take you from childhood to adulthood. And they're like, I've been here 80 years, and you're telling me you're going to take me into adulthood? Yeah, I am. You know why? Have you been taught moral character yet? Nope. So then you're still stuck back in childhood over here then, right? Until you get this lesson, until you get these lessons, you're still way back here, right? You haven't advanced morally, you've only advanced academically. But you're still way back here, and I don't care who you are. You could be 110, 120. You could be whatever age. If you haven't been taught moral character, if moral character was not taught part of your curriculum at school, you haven't been taught. So therefore you haven't advanced. So yes, you're about to embark on a journey that will take you from childhood to adulthood. Are you ready? Now, if they're still sitting in front of you and they didn't run out the door, then they're ready. Okay? Do you have everything you will need to carry you through the most important years of your life? In fact, have you even considered what you're going to need? Certainly an education will benefit you in the years to come. If that were not the case, you would not have been in school since the age of 5. For many people, a high school diploma is only the tip of the iceberg. College, graduate school, and for some, a PhD constitute a well-rounded education that prepares you for a career in the future. In addition to the math, English, science, social studies, and writing courses, have you ever considered what else you will need to be successful? Here at the Peaceful Solution Character Education Incorporated, we prove that no education is complete if it does not include instruction on how to develop a positive character. Let's face it, in your many years of schooling, there will be subjects that you will take that you will not use every day. And that reminds me of that silly poster I've told you about before with the ladies kind of looking there. There's a little thought cloud, and she's sitting there thinking, I'm 50 years old and I still haven't used trigonometry. You know, like algebra and trigonometry and all these things we learned when we were in high school. It's not like we use them. I don't even remember how to do it anymore because I don't use it. I don't use it when I go to H-E-B and Walmart and these different stores. I use addition, use mainly subtraction because my wallet's always empty. But I only use, multiplication, addition, subtraction, but I don't use any of those other things, so I don't remember them. And it would have been better had they used that hour that they taught me algebra if they would have kicked this in, if they'd have put this moral character education in that slot, we'd have been a lot better off, you know. And then we could have made algebra and trigonometry an elective, you know. Only the brainiacs that wanted to learn it could choose to learn it. Okay, let's see. It says, so let's face it. Okay, so there's many subjects you will take you won't use every day. Character, on the other hand, is one subject you're going to use every day the rest of your life and will aid your success in any field. Character education. You're going to use it every day, every second of the day. Okay, whether you realize you're using it or not, you're going to be using it. Okay, not just when you're having interactions with people, but even when you're alone, you're having to use character. Okay, your character is shown by what you do even when no one's looking. Okay, so you're always having to use it. It's there with you. You have to use it even when you're thinking, and you're not even talking out loud. Even when you're thinking, you got to use this character education, because you got to reject the negative thoughts and replace them with the positive. You can't let your mind dwell on doing negative things. You know, you got to learn to resist that and push it away and replace it with something positive. So it says, the information contained in this book will help you gain greater insight into who you are on the inside, how to evaluate what's important to you, and how to improve yourself and your interactions with others. And you know, that's not something most people are interested in, is self-improvement. You know, yeah, they might be interested in improving themselves physically, you know, like go lifting weights or running or, you know, eating habits. You know, they might go on certain diets or whatever because they're interested in, you know, being more healthy, so to speak. But when it comes to self-improvement, like we're learning here in the Peaceful Solution, you know, like how to treat people, how to treat yourself, how to create peace in conflicts, etc. Most people aren't interested in that, you know. But you got to get them interested. You got to show them the value in it. You got to show them how valuable it is, why they actually need it, so they can learn to see the benefit of it. Okay, so it says, in other words, you will learn about your character and the important role it plays in your journey to adulthood and your success as an adult. Okay, so let's look now at the next visual. For those at home, we're going to be reading here a few sad facts of life. It says, in a way, it's sad that we live in a society that puts so much emphasis on what people are like on the outside, whether they are popular, pretty, cute, athletic, tall, short, or fat, as if those are the only thing that matters. It's even sadder that we sometimes feel forced to spend so much time trying to change to fit the latest trends that, while popular, might not be beneficial for us. And here's the saddest fact of all. In the long run, changing the outside just to fit in without improving who we are on the inside has caused many disappointments. And remember, again, you have to think of why do most people just focus on their appearance, you know, the outer person? It's because that's what people they're being trained to focus on. You know, like everything's about, if you watch television, everything's about how you look, what kind of shampoo you're using, what kind of makeup you put on, what kind of clothes you're wearing, what kind of shoes you wear. All the emphasis is on those material things that we adorn ourselves with. Okay? But what commercials are you hearing about? Do you have self-control today? You know, are you being respectful in every interaction? You know, you're not hearing anything like that. That's not even anything that's being thrown out there for you to consider. Oh yeah, once in a while you might hear some kind of little thing about it, but that's not what they're bombarding you with. They're bombarding you with mainly about things about how to make yourself feel good or look good. Right? So there's no emphasis on the inner self, on the inner person. you know? And you know how silly that is? Okay, so man is a machine, you know? We're a great machine, man. Think about this machine. You think about all your functions, your brain, you think about all the trillions of cells in your body, and you think about how this thing operates. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. And then you think about the subconscious mind we talked about I think it was in the respect unit? Subconscious mind? Pretty sure. Could have been the responsibility. But we don't even use a fraction of our mind's capability. Okay? It's amazing how this body is made. So, we're only interested in washing it, combing our hair, looking okay, putting on the right clothes, and etc. But what are we doing about inner maintenance? How do you maintain your innards, your organs? Is there a way to maintain them? Is there a way to flush your engine? Is there a way to flush your engine like you change the oil in your vehicle, or you change the transmission fluid, or is there a way to do the same thing in the human body? Yes, there is. There actually is. And you'll learn about it as we go along in the peaceful solution. There is a way to actually to rid your body even of toxins that are very harmful, that are actually causing our thinking to be fuzzy and our decisions to be not the right decisions, because we're not thinking straight, because our minds aren't thinking as clearly as they could, because our body needs to be cleansed, needs to be cleaned, needs to be cleaned out, because there's so many pollutants, harmful pollutants in this world that are getting into our bodies. We got to learn how to cleanse them out, how to clean them out. So it's kind of silly to wash your car. When you go to the car wash, you only wash the car on the outside, but the inside is just filthy, right? There's Coke cans laying all over the ground, and wrappers and sand and dirt. You don't even vacuum it out, but the outside looks nice and shiny, right? Or what about when you do dishes? Do you just wash the outside of the cup when you do dishes? What if you just washed the outside, but you left all the inside filthy? What could possibly occur? You could get sick, right? You could get sick. You could get food poisoning. Well, the body's the same way. We got to cleanse the body too. We got to clean the innards of our body. We learn to do that. And most of all, we need to learn how to practice the peaceful solution, because that's how we can change the heart and mind, right? That's how we can change our hearts and minds from war and hatred to peaceful relations. It says, here's the saddest fact: in the long run, changing the outside just to fit in without improving who we are on the inside has caused many disappointments, lost friendships, and bad scenes. You can put that visual back up for the people at home. Thank you. It says, just in case you're wondering what a bad scene is, it's the thousands of pre-adolescent and adolescent males and females who become involved with drugs every year, the 1 million teen pregnancies a year, the 25,000 teens who are diagnosed HIV positive every year in the United States alone, not to mention the thousands more who die in drunk driving accidents. Those are some of the bad scenes. And we've been talking about a lot of bad scenes we've been teaching this class now since November of 2020. We're going on 4 years now. We've been showing you a lot about those bad scenes, these teen pregnancies and the STDs, etc. Even the climate change. We got into climate change. We showed you the real cause of climate change, We showed you it wasn't from burning your hot dogs and searing your steaks out there and barbecuing, and burning tires or whatever you were doing, causing smoke to go up in the atmosphere. And we learned that our firmament or our atmosphere is being destroyed by our actions, our, remember the STDs getting in the water and the soil, going up in the atmosphere, creating storms. It's so amazing to me, but I read something last night. Possibly the next time I teach, I don't know, I might have Chris mention it or somebody, but I went back on a convention that the author of The Peaceful Solution gave back in 2012. Early 2012, and he was talking about a certain STD that was found in the air that causes a certain spirochete or something, some kind of microorganism that causes syphilis. He said they found it in the air in Houston, Texas. He said they found it in the atmosphere in Houston, Texas. And when he said that, when I read that, I said, that's amazing, because Houston, Texas has been having crazy weather this year. Really crazy. Like some of the storms come out of nowhere, and they're like hurricane force storms. I think I showed some footage of one of them a few months ago, or a couple months ago. But they've been having some very devastating weather. Okay? And it's just amazing how, those things tie in when you go back and you read some of the things he's talked about to what we've learned here in this program about how those STDs create chaos in the atmosphere because of, the microorganisms being raped and mutated and sort by the viruses that are up there in the atmosphere, creating havoc, creating where the rain, it used to be when you were small, when you were young. Remember when it rained kind of steady, like sprinkled or whatever. Now it comes down in showers and buckets. It's either torrential rain all the time now or no rain at all, right? It's like it either rains super hard or it just doesn't rain, right? Because the atmosphere is so messed up. But he mentioned that one in Houston, and I was just like, wow, okay, I'm going to go back and study that some more. I want to go back and look into that a little more and see, because they found similar ones in San Antonio. When they did an air sample in San Antonio, I talked about that one too in one of my classes. Okay, so let's see. Now we're on page 2. We're going to be talking about the road less traveled. So I want to get to a certain point here for the next teacher. I believe who it'll probably be Catan. Let's go ahead and put up the next visual of the road less traveled. Now it says, here's what it all boils down to. You, yes, you, do not have to go this route. Or route, however you pronounce that. You can take a road less traveled. Well, again, I like to call this the road less traveled is probably, we can assign it a number. I don't know what number you want to assign it. No. Let's just call it 613 or something, route 613. We know what route the world is on? 66. They're getting their kicks on 66. Yep. And all their kicks they're getting are leading to, let's see, this road they're traveling on. It says that this road less traveled might not be the most popular road or the road that your friends are taking, but let's face the challenges. All of us do not want to risk contracting HIV or any of the other 125 STDs out there. And that's what they're getting on Route 66, getting their kicks on 66. They got the motels along the way where you can spend the night with your girlfriend. They got the hotel, they got the movie theaters and all the entertainment along the route there, along the way, so you can drop in and get you a little They got the bars, that you can go in and meet you a new love. Looking for love in all the wrong places, right? Yeah, looking for love. Well, okay. That's if you think that's what you're going to find there, have at it. But it didn't work well for me, and I'm sure it's not working well for anybody that's trying it, if they would be honest about it. It says, all of us do not desire, that's that word. Remember he said the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program hopes you don't fall to these lusts of entertainment or those desires. All of us do not desire to use drugs or abuse alcohol by getting drunk. It says, life is about making choices. Yeah, that's a think about it. But I thought everybody's doing it. Isn't that what you hear every time somebody offers you some kind of drugs? Everybody's doing it. No, they're not doing it. Not everybody. Some people have already learned that, no, that's the wrong route. That's the wrong road. I don't want to go down that road anymore. That road was a dead end. It was a dead end, man. At the end of every one of those roads was some kind of prison or, jail time, courthouse, principal's office, some kind of dead end, lost job, a hospital, a lawyer's office. Those are at the end of those routes, There's always some kind of, I guess you would call it some kind of bad nightmare hotel. What was the name of that hotel in that movie? It was I hate to think of these things, but sometimes life imitates art. But it's like those hotels that you can check into, but you can't leave, right? The only way you can get out of that hotel is if somebody brings a peaceful solution to that hotel and they teach you how to get out of that hotel and stay out of that hotel, right? It says, the choices you make, it says life is about making choices. The choices you make, the ones that could save your life, will be based on your development of a positive character. And the only way to develop a positive character is to start paying attention to what's taking place on the inside. You see that? On the inside. Not just I'm not saying don't stop combing your hair and don't start, don't stop dressing decent or whatever, or taking care of yourself and taking a shower every day or something. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to also pay attention to your inner person. Like your thoughts. Start paying attention to your thoughts. Like, what kind of thoughts am I having? Why do I think the way I do? What if I keep this thought in my mind, what's it going to lead to? If I keep thinking about slapping that guy over there, what might I do? Right? Or if I keep thinking about stealing that candy bar or that piece of bubble gum, won't I eventually succumb to my lust and desire to steal that gum and take it? Yeah, you will if you keep dwelling on it. Like somebody told me one time, your head is like a nest. Your brain is like a nest for a bird, right? But you can't stop the bird from flying around, up here over the tree, You can't stop the bird from even sitting there for a minute on your head or whatever, but you can sure shoo it away. You don't have to let it stay there, In other words, the thought's going to come, but you don't keep dwelling on it, and you don't keep entertaining it. You push it aside. You replace it with a peaceful solution thought, something that you know is right. If you know it's wrong, don't be thinking about it. Don't keep thinking about it and dwelling on it. Get rid of it. So it says, stop feeling like you have to join the sick, dying, or dead. Like all those music videos, where they have the death skulls, Everything's about death. I remember when I was growing up, all the songs were about going to hell and, highway to hell, Everything was, all this stuff was all about, like, creepy, death stuff, like gothic type. And it was all about death and destruction and, like, war and disease and broken relationships, and Now I do know if you played those country songs backwards, remember those country songs, those cry in your beer songs, if you play them backwards on a record player, and listen to it real close, if you play it backwards, your dog will come back, your wife comes back, you get your house back. You ever tried that? All right, half of you are sleeping out there. You're supposed to laugh. Let's hear it. Laugh, clap, something. Okay, great. Trying to wake you up, man. Now that I think about it, why do they have to listen to things backwards to hear something really bad and creepy and evil? Listen to it. Listen to what they're saying in the right direction there. You don't have to play the record backwards like they used to tell you. Just listen to what they're saying now. It's all negative behavior. It's all negative, immoral behavior. It's all going to lead you to some kind of sickness, dying, or death, right? It says, along with all your other preparations for adulthood, you must prepare to develop and maintain a positive character. In order to avoid those bad scenes we talked about, you must start making choices that show a positive character, such as being consistent, responsible, respectful, and honest, just to name a few. No, don't be thinking about how you can get away with it. That's not how you improve your character, Some people are only sorry they got caught, You shouldn't be thinking about how can I improve myself, and next time I steal that bubble gum, nobody sees me, right? That's not how you should be improving yourself. What you should be doing is thinking about, how can I avoid wanting to take that bubble gum? Why do I even desire to steal that candy bar or steal that car or whatever it is that I want to steal from my neighbor? Why do I even want to do that? Why do I even think I need to do that? Why don't I just want to work, right? Well, that's that four-letter word nobody likes, right? Work. Now, so I know a lot of you guys like work. I've seen you work, and I see you enjoy your work. So it says, really pay attention in this class. Really pay attention in this class. What you're going to learn in the next several weeks, you can use the rest of your life. See, notice, remember when we talked about at the beginning of this note, you're about to embark on a journey that will take you from childhood to adulthood? You can do it in a matter of weeks. You go through this book, get that moral training, and you're going to grow exponentially in your character. If you take what you learn and you start practicing and using it, just little things every day, you'll see how the growth can come very rapidly. It says, just remember, your character is what makes you who you are. It will determine what you're going to stand for and what you will or will not yield to. In other words, what you won't give into. What you'll give into. So we got to stand for something, or we're going to fall for anything, right? We got to learn to stand up for moral character. Not let somebody, jerk our chain and get us to thinking that, there's a better way than that peaceful solution. That peaceful solution is boring, man. Isn't that kind of boring, not using drugs and going out and getting women pregnant and, going to the bar on Saturday night and shooting pool, man? Wouldn't you rather go out dancing or something like that? No, I've already done that. Been there, done that. So now all I can do now is try to share that information that I have with other people, coupled with the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program, so they can also get off that road of the sick, dying, and dead. All right, so the next class we're going to be on August 4th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Y'all have been a great audience. Thanks for waking up for that last part. Just kidding. And we'll see you next time.